Hi, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I'm Terry, and I am the Food and Crafts Outreach Lead here at Kickstarter. And I am really excited because today, joining us for our Hangout is the amazing and fabulous Carla Hall. Hi, Carla.
Hi, Terry. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
How are you?
Hey, I am awesome, and I think everyone else is really awesome out there, too. I just want to do, everyone knows who you are, but I'm just going to quickly review that you are a native of Nashville, Tennessee.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yes, and you are the co-host of ABC's The Chew, and you're the owner of Carla Hall's Petite Cookies. But I think most people out there will know you as a competitor on Bravo's Top Chef, where you featured your wonderful blend of classic French cooking and your own Southern upbringing cuisine. And, yes. And today we're going to talk about Carla had a wonderful project with us called Carla Hall's Southern Kitchen, and that launched in September of 2014. And Carla, I would like you to talk a little bit today about all the awesome things that happened during that campaign and some of the tips and tricks you might have for other people that are thinking about doing a Kickstarter campaign related to food and all things related to food. So just to let you know that we have some of your fans out there that are really excited that you're here. Walter and Val are really excited and have been waiting for you for a while. And also we have a question from Meredith already that I think would be I have questions for you too.
Okay.
And this also ties into what's happening right now with Carla Hall's Kitchen. So and where are you right now? Like it's been a little while and we're really excited. Now, we got some great news.
Yeah, so yesterday we actually signed the lease. I know I put out an announcement that we had the space, but yesterday we actually signed the lease and took possession of the key. So I am officially a restaurant owner.
Oh, my goodness.
You can't come, but I'm officially a restaurant owner. I own a restaurant.
Oh, wow. How does that feel?
It is amazing because, it's been a long time coming. So from September of 2014 to now, and here we are in July. So that's a lot of time. It took us a while to actually find the space, and then another long while to even go through the leasing process. So everything takes so much longer than you would think. And I think for people who are doing Kickstarter, you understand that, but the people who are supporting you don't necessarily understand that because they're not going through the process with you. So that's why it's really important to keep them updated. And sometimes we were thinking, how often should we give them updates, because we don't want to overwhelm them with everything, and so we sort of space them out, but give them something big that they can sink their teeth into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely want us to go into a little more details, but before we proceed, I just want to remind everyone that this is a live show. And we want to hear from them, their questions about you, about Southern Kitchen, about anything about what it's like to create like a food-related project as great as yours. And there are a few ways they can reach out to us. They can hit us up on Twitter at Kickstarter Tips. They can go to our Facebook page right now and ask us questions there, or right here on the Google Plus Hangout, they can also ask us questions. So this is great. So I know that there is so much going on with the restaurant. What do you think, or what can we expect to see for the remainder of the year? A little bit like about the process now that you own the restaurant.
Right. So the process now, we're looking at designs and trying to figure out what textures, what fabrics, what it's going to look like. Yeah. So we're talking to designers, and then that means a build out, that means finding a general contractor, there's the sexy stuff, which is the designer, and then there's the practical things of actually finding the right general contractor and getting their permits, because we have no idea how long it's going to take to go through the permitting, because that's another stalled process, and then just the build out will take about 8 weeks or so. So that's the thing, and then in the meantime, we've tested a lot of our recipes, but it's making sure that they will work. Being scaled up, so all of that. So we're still cooking, and we're doing events that we will feature a lot of the things on the restaurant, so on the menu. Yeah. So all that stuff. Yeah,
that is huge. Yeah.
Finding employees. Oh my God, employees.
Oh, yeah. Are you hiring?
Yeah.
Carla is hiring, everyone. Work in her incredible restaurant. Yeah, I wish we had like a lot of time to go into all those details because all those things really interest me about scaling up and like working on the back and the front of the house.
Yeah.
But I want to like get back to just like the actual campaign, a little bit of that. So, like we're talking about restaurants, they have such a long lead time. At what point in the creation or the idea of having a restaurant did you decide it was time to do a Kickstarter campaign? Like at what point we were like, okay, this is it. This is what we have to do, and why?
Was really early on because I had spent so much time saying I didn't want a restaurant, and everybody knew I had the cookies, I was catering, I didn't have a restaurant, even though a lot of times people assumed that I did. So it was about how can I actually tell people that I'm doing this and make it a big announcement. And I think Evan, who is my partner, he talked about doing Kickstarter. Mario Batali was saying, what about a Kickstarter?
Oh, yeah?
So,
okay.
yeah, so he was, I said, huh. And so Evan is crazy anyway. So Evan is going to mention everything and just see what sticks. He's going to throw a bunch of things at the wall.
Yeah.
So my husband gets a lot of, he follows Kickstarter, gets a lot of things on Kickstarter. So we knew about Kickstarter, and we've backed a lot of projects.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, that's a way. I think in the very beginning, I mean, it was like a month after we were like, okay, are we really doing this restaurant thing?
Right, yeah.
And then we kept thinking about it. We're like, okay, how are we going to do this? And Kickstarter sort of came up and stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So that's a big lead in to like, here we are, we have to get prepared for this campaign.
Right.
So one of the really big questions I hear a lot from people who think about like, I want to, make a cafe, a restaurant, or a food business is how do you set your funding goal?
Right.
So perhaps you can give us some insights to how you got that number.
Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you about the funding goal, but even way before when we decided to do Kickstarter, just in the timing, we knew we had to build up our social presence because it's on social. Important. So even so, there was the pre-work to doing the Kickstarter, and then once we knew about how much money we needed, I mean, we needed over $1 million to do the restaurant. I mean, and so my partner says, okay, let's do 250. I mean, honestly, it's a small number in the restaurant world, but it's a big number on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And and I got beat up for it. I got beat up for choosing that number because people assume that I have, the money to do it. So there's that. But when you think about the percentage that you're asking, it's a very small percentage that you're asking over the total amount that is actually needed. So that's why we chose that big number.
Yeah, and that's really important to keep that in mind. Is that it's like a larger picture of everything you need to make this happen. So I really like that you were talking about like all the homework you did before, about all the social media and sort of that prepping that to me is like such an important thing that so many campaigns need to think about.
Yes.
So I would like to go into a little detail about the communities that you reached out to, that you thought about before, and maybe even during the campaign you need to talk to. You need to let these people know about what you're doing. So who are these people?
So obviously the people that my followers or the Chew fans, people who have followed me from Top Chef, and I really thought about them first because they associate restaurants with Top Chef, and I didn't have a restaurant, and I wanted to announce this really to my fans. Hey, guess what I'm doing? So it's that obvious audience. A lot of nonprofits that I'm involved in and those communities I reached out to. I'm a member of a lot of the organizations that I'm a member of. I reached out to them directly. Old clients, like even not on social but an email to let them know what I was doing. I reached out to those people. Of course, family and friends. So I really went through my Rolodex and said, okay, what are the groups that, like acquaintances, friends, family, businesses, and nonprofits. So those are the 5 groups. Interestingly enough, I think the surprising groups that were reaching out were other small businesses and saying, I'm doing it too. So I actually went on Kickstarter to look at what other restaurants were doing, what other hot chicken, concepts, and I reached out to see what they were doing. And so we kind of became this little family of supporting each other. So that's also important. And that was surprising because even though you're operating and you're working on a similar concept, you also want to kind of know what they're doing, and you have this little feedback and this little community of saying, I tried that, it didn't work, you should try this. So that's really important.
That's really wonderful, and that's such a great take home that, you know, that there's such this sense of community and unity, you know, among the restaurant food people on the site. So everyone take note of that. It's important. Make friends. So I know people talk a lot and they ask me a lot of questions about videos, and I feel like you're a natural at it, and I would love you to share some ideas and some tips about how did you condense so much of your story into such like a short amount of time, a couple minutes, to get people's attention and to really talk about what you're doing.
Well, first of all, you know, everybody has a very short attention span. So you have to think about visually. You want, of course, to connect with them with your face, and you want to look at them. You want to have all of these points and issues, but it also has to be fast and poppy. And it's like, how am I going to do this? So we thought to do our video like in New York City, where I'm like standing on rocks. It's big. It's like we were on the subway, which was crazy because here we are saying New York City, New York City, and I'm on the subway, and people are like, okay. So,
yeah.
But it's memorable, and everybody can. It's you have to be absolutely fearless when you're doing this video. If you feel like you're over the top, that's good, because what you're doing is you're reaching out to somebody and say, "Stop, look at me, and let me tell you what I am doing." So you have to get their attention really, really quickly.
Right. Right.
Now, because it's all about food, visually, the food is really important because you want them to salivate, to see the food, to taste the food, to imagine what the food is going to taste like. So that's how we came up with the hot chicken face, and actually everybody eating the chicken, right? The hot chicken face was born because of our Kickstarter video.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like everyone, go look at that hot chicken face after this, because it's really priceless. And I got to say, like, you had incredible food photography in there. Like you did all the right things of showing all that incredible, beautiful food that you make.
So you know what we did? We made the food for the people who were helping us with the video.
Oh,
so it was edible food. It wasn't even like stage food. It was food that we knew that they could eat, and they were watching it the entire time we're doing the video. And we're like, okay, once this is done, you're going to get to eat this. They're like, oh.
Right? Yeah, easy, guys. How to get someone to help you with your video. Feed them incredible food. I love it. I love it. So I want to talk about, like, when you actually launched your project, because one of the things I see time and time again, projects really do the best when they get like a really strong launch, like in that first day or two. So, and you're just a natural at being out there and like having basically parties and, you know, showing people a really fun time. So can you talk about events that you staged, maybe in the beginning or during, or even toward the end, to kind of wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the launch, we did a countdown. So I took these pictures with a board. It's like 3 more days, 2 more days, 1 more day, and then we launched. We had a launch party. We did like food truck takeovers. We did a couple of events with food trucks where we were actually giving our food away for free. We had, which was really successful. So if it's about food and you can sort of partner with an existing food truck where you're going to, you know, get people to come. And then we had the whole Kickstarter sign and, you know, to let people know what we were doing. Toward the end, again, it was a countdown and a really big push and really reaching out to communities that we didn't think that we had hit, and reaching out to those people who had already. Oh, I just want to say another thing that we did. I made sure that when people left comments, I got back to them. So it was really about getting back to those people and having a conversation. And people that I met at events where I was doing demos and stuff, they also came in and invested, and I reached out to them. So it was pretty cool. It was those events, you cannot underestimate those events, because not only are you taking pictures and videos for those events and then putting them up on as a kind of like a pushing that out, a little update, but it's just about community, community.
Yeah, and I would love if you talked a little bit about your updates.
Yes.
Because because you're a natural at just like, you know, here's my phone, I'm going to tell you something really cool that I did today. So can you talk a little bit about your theory or philosophy about updates?
So we planned our updates just like you would plan a calendar, just like you would have a seasonal calendar and you're planning it. So when you are starting it, you're thinking, these are the kinds of things I want to show and share about my updates. I want to put them in the place that I'm seeing. So those videos are important. When you're like seeing something for the first time and you want to bring people along, you're like, you have your phone, you're like, look, I am seeing this with you for the first time. And so you're drawing people in and getting them excited. But it's a balance, because you don't want to have too many updates, because you don't want to be spamming people's inboxes, because this is not the only project. The people who are backing Kickstarter projects, they back others. So you don't want them to have all of this email like, oh my gosh, I am so sick of receiving these emails and updates. So we deliberately plan what we're going to do, and like for instance, we updated about when we found our place, and even before the signing of the lease, we give certain things to our Kickstarter people that the other people don't know yet. So we make sure that they're first, because we promise them that they're going to be on this ride and they're going to get information before other people.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That so talking about your backers and things that you give them, I would like you to talk a little bit about rewards, because sometimes even with food creators are like, I don't know what to do, and obviously you should give food, but but I would like you to talk like about rewards, particularly which ones were very easy for you to do that didn't stress you out, which ones possibly are more challenging. I mean, they're if you're still in the process of doing some of those, or your reflections on them, and perhaps what were some of your favorites, the one you really got excited about doing or giving or just planning out?
Well, I want to start with the rewards that are the most challenging, and we had over 1,500 backers. So anything that you have to ship, you have to realize that there's a cost involved in shipping. So the cost in shipping, so those are really hard. But also sending signed, that being said, but sending signed menus and recipe cards was really quite fun, because they have something tangible, right? So that was cool. One of my favorite ones was and the easiest is the Founders Wall. $25. They could be on our wall for every single restaurant that we open, and that was the favorite. And I got really choked up when I saw how many people were buying into that reward, because it's like your name is going to live forever on my restaurant, and I get to look at your name every day and say thank you to those people. That it still kind of chokes me up a little bit about that. That's the easiest, because I don't have to send anything. Obviously the ones that some of the bigger ones, we did parties, so when the restaurant is open, and those are the only people who haven't gotten their reward because the restaurant isn't open. But I'm excited about that, because those are the people who are going to be really excited to come to the opening party, because they get to be there with us. So those are really good too, and you don't have to ship anything. So for those of you who are thinking something tangible, unless it's going to be online, you can also give like links to things. But tangible things take planning, and it takes like a clearinghouse to kind of put them together and send them out. Yeah. So think about that.
Yeah, and you already ship things. You have some experience with that, so you're ready for that. So that's something that's super important to think about if you've never shipped anything.
Exactly.
And I just want to remind everyone that we still have time for questions too. And I'm just gonna remind everyone that you could hit us up again on Twitter at Kickstarter Tips, on Facebook, and right here on the page itself. So, we're talking about backers because they're so important to the life of a campaign. And you definitely thought about who you're going to reach out to, your communities, and your organizations that you've been part of. Did you have any really cool surprise backers, like organizations or individuals, or just made some interesting connections with people that were you didn't expect?
I did. I had Sherry Shepard and she's on The View. She had backed me, and she sent it to her friends. There were all these people like Lala Ali, and I'm like, oh my God, you know who I am. And these said, oh my God, I can't wait till your restaurant opens, and they were tweeting and everything. That was really surprising, because sometimes you're thinking, you're like in this little person in this big world, and you're thinking you're doing this momentous thing, but it creates this flow and just surprise. And I think people in Nashville, I expected them to back me, but I think now I have this connection and saying, hey, I don't live there anymore, but I'm definitely from there. And so we've started this amazing community. Just, I don't know, it was a no-brainer, but yet it's still surprising, because Hattie B's, who has Hot Chicken, and just the relationships that we have, kind of come together with them, because They do hot chicken, and they do it very well.
Yeah.
But yet, they've been following and supporting us, so that's been really good.
Yeah. So there's a whole hot chicken community.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. And there's a hot chicken festival July 4th. So
oh my
we'll be there
goodness.
next year. Yes.
Okay. Well, everyone, put that in your hot chicken calendars right now. So we still have a little bit of time. Like these were my questions, and I'm looking right here. Emily is super excited. She wants to congratulate you on your success.
Thank you,
She
Emily.
has a question in particular about mentors.
Yes.
About mentors in your career who inspired you to be where you are now. And how are you transitioning into it? Let's not get assuming, but I think you are. I think you are a mentor for a lot of people right now. But like, are you transitioning into that role? So your mentors and you as a mentor.
So my mentors, the first chef that I worked with, John Dornbush, is one of my mentors, and he may not even know it. John Dornbush and Richard Thompson, they were the first two chefs that I worked with when I was working in restaurants. And because that's the foundation, and everything that they taught me, I'm taking that with me, just in how to, my work ethic at a restaurant and everything.
Yeah.
So I take that with me everywhere I go. And there are just mentors looking in the TV world. I mean, I actually work with a couple of them, Michael and Mario. But in terms of being a mentor, I'm always thinking that to be on this platform, it's an opportunity to give back. So people are constantly calling me and emailing me, and when they see me at events, asking me questions, and I take that very seriously. Because you never know what pearl of wisdom you're going to give somebody that they're going to grasp and just say, okay. And I think the biggest thing that I tell people, I don't care what you do, but find out what you don't want is just as important as finding out what you want.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And sometimes just saying no. I mean, getting in and quitting. I mean, I know they say a lot of these young people quit a lot of things. You have to actually get into it. But if you actually get in there and say, okay, this is not for me, let me move to the next thing. But not do it before you know anything. But that takes guts, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you, Carla. Yeah. Saying no is good.
Saying no is good.
Yeah. And I know, like you're now a restaurant owner, and there's so many things that go into still so many things yet to do. Do you have a projected opening date?
So our projected opening date is mid-October. Yeah. And you all know, and I want to tell you guys, it is a floating target because things can go around. Everybody says whatever your projected date is, add a couple months onto that. And I hope that's not going to be the case, but if that happens, I'm not going to get upset. The whole thing is just to be, I think, centered and just know that the universe is going to deliver it at its right and perfect time.
I love that. All in good time when it's ready.
Yeah.
Very zen. So I think everyone's getting really hungry here because of getting a question. Melissa wants some fluffy biscuit tips.
Yes.
But finally, we're going to talk about some food.
Okay, Melissa.
All been waiting for. All right.
It's so funny. Fluffy biscuit tips. One, make sure your butter is cold. If you're going to make your biscuits, you have your dry ingredients. So you have your flour, your baking soda, your baking powder. Yes. Not too much baking soda because it's a funky taste. A tiny bit of sugar. And then you have your butter. A lot of times people cut their butter too big. So cut your butter stick, cut it really thin so that when you cut it into the flour, you are actually pinching it and cutting that into the flour. And then you have your buttermilk. Your biscuit dough is always going to be wetter than you think because it needs that moisture to actually rise and to create that fluffiness. So it's about with your mixture, it's probably almost equal. A little bit less of the buttermilk than your dry ingredients. Mix that up. Don't overmix it.
Okay.
And then the drop biscuits, just sort of don't overwork the dough and plop them on. First do drop biscuits because if you're just now making a biscuit, you probably don't really know what you're doing. Yeah. It's so easy. Plop that on there, and then high oven, high heat, really fast. Boom! You could make a really good biscuit.
Yes. Oh, do you have a biscuit cutter? Do you have one of those, or do you use a?
I do. I do both. I do use a biscuit cutter. What I do. Okay, here's the secret. You guys ready for this?
All right.
What you do, you spray any kind of oil spray on your surface,
Yeah.
then put flour down, and then brush it off. Your flour is not going to move.
Okay.
Then you put
Love
your
it.
biscuit dough and put more flour on top. Pat, pat, pat. Don't
Okay.
worry about the rolling pin. Pat, pat, pat.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
when you punch out your biscuit, turn it over, because now you've pinched the bottom of the biscuit. So when you turn it over, it's going to rise higher.
Ooh.
Right? Okay? So then you put that
Okay.
in the pan. And then get the biscuits cold again before they go into the oven.
That is amazing. Guys, you heard it first. Carla's awesome top secret, not top secret anymore,
Yeah.
but that's a part of the mentorship. You've been mentored on biscuits right now.
I could go on and on and on about biscuits, but those are some tips that'll help.
That's incredible. Now we're kind of going to be wrapping up soon. So we talked about, I love how you said like know when to say no.
Yeah.
But I know part of your philosophy is being like saying yes to new experiences.
Yes.
So
Yes.
can you tell me a little bit more about this, about like just these, when to say yes?
So my 6-word novel will be say yes, adventure follows, then growth. A lot of times we say no to things that we are afraid of. But when you're building that muscle, like even opening a restaurant at 51, I am freaking scared. But I feel in my heart that it's the right thing to do, in my gut. But the thing is, when you say yes to something that you are afraid of, you are training yourself, those neurons in your head, to kind of move through. And you are gaining so much knowledge by walking through that fear and getting to the other side. So I think you should say yes to something that you've never done before in terms of adventure. I mean, I just did a high ropes challenge like last week, which was amazing. Zip lining. I'm afraid of heights. It's like, I thought you're afraid of heights. I'm like, I'm freaking afraid of heights.
Right.
But why are you doing this? Because I'm scared. I'm so scared.
I love it. Yes.
So you just do it. And I was so proud of myself because I didn't conquer my fear. I'm still afraid of heights. But every time I do it, it gets a little easier. And then I move to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. I think we have maybe time for one more question. What's your theory, I guess, about cookbook writing? I mean, you were talking about amazing food and, in a restaurant, and you're talking about just a little bit about the recipes, but that's one way to share your recipes.
Yes.
So just like some thoughts on your experiences with that. Yeah.
So I've done 2 cookbooks, and actually all of the recipes that I'll be serving at the restaurant are coming from my cookbooks. One of the ways that I do the recipe testing, and for those of you who are putting even like family cookbooks together, so when I'm making, let's say I'm making, I don't know, a salad. I'm just saying a salad. And I have the vinaigrette. So I'm going to have all of the ingredients that I want to use. I have them in little cups. And I will have the olive oil in a half tablespoon like increments. I'll have the salt in half teaspoons. I have all of my ingredients out so that when I am in the flow of actually dumping and tasting, I go back, I dump, I taste, I go back and count the cups that I had out, so I don't have to say, what did I put in there? Yeah. Because now you can just count the cups. That is the main thing. A lot of times people will create, but they don't know exactly what they put in there. And then they have to go back and recreate and write down, have somebody writing things down. Right. So have all of your ingredients in portioned increments. So when you dump it in, you can go back and count the little cups that you had. Does that make sense?
That completely makes sense. I mean, like, I have my own technique on that, and I love hearing other people, how they talk about their developing too. Yeah. And keeping careful notes is so important.
It's so important.
Oh, man. Thank you, Carla. This was really great. I think, this is it? Yeah.
This is it. That's went by so fast.
This went by really, really fast. Yeah, all you guys missed out on our awesome conversations before this, because we should just do this all the time. Carla, you're amazing. Thank you. Congratulations.
Terry, you're amazing. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and looking forward to Southern Kitchen and just seeing you just totally just knock it out of the park. Everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.